Hello and welcome to Tommy Talks TV, the place to be to build great love relationships. I'd like to start by saying a very big thank you. Thank you for all your likes and your shares and your comments on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube. I really appreciate you because you're helping us spread the message further faster. So thank you very much indeed. Now, a few weeks ago, I shared a video on significant age differences in marriage, and I was answering a question from a lady who was asking whether there are any issues with marrying a man who is 10 to 15 years older than you. And on the back of that, I have had a lot of people asking me questions on the exact opposite. So what happens if a man wants to marry a woman who is 10 to 15 years older than him? So I did promise to address that question, and that's what I'm going to do today. Now, I'd like to point out that sometime back I did another video called Age Differences in Marriage, and in that one I was talking about women who wanted to marry a man who was probably just a few years younger than them. So it's worth you watching that video, and also the one I did on significant age differences, because everything I said in those two videos will apply to this situation as well. But then talking about a man who is 10 to 15 years younger than the woman that he's planning to get married to, what are the issues that you would expect to see in that kind of relationship? Now, I'd like to set the context here and say that this is not a question of right or wrong, because I define right and wrong by what does the Bible have to say about it. But the reality is that the Bible does not say one way or the other that a man should marry a woman who is younger, or a woman should marry a man that is older. So this is actually a question of practical wisdom and how things would work out in that sort of relationship, what the dynamic is going to be like. So there are things that you need to consider if you are considering that kind of marriage. So first of all, there's the issue of maturity. It's a scientific fact that women mature faster mentally and emotionally than men do. It's a well-known scientific fact. So the first question to ask is, how mature is the man in comparison to the woman? Because you see, as a woman, when you're getting married to a man, he should be somebody that you can lean on. He should be somebody that you can depend upon. He should be somebody whose opinion you can respect, somebody who can help you in the issues of life. So how mature is this man in comparison to the woman? That's a really significant issue. And one of the things that you need to consider when you're thinking about maturity is this: you don't want a situation where the relationship turns into a mother-son relationship rather than being a partnership, because marriage is supposed to be a partnership. So that's something that you need to think about very carefully. And the second part to that is thinking about the issue of security. So first of all, on the man's side, how secure is he as a man? Because respect means so much to men. It's really big in a man's world that he's respected by the woman whom he gets married to, the woman whom he shares his life with. So as a man, will you be able to accept that your wife respects you even when she disagrees with you? Because a woman whom is significantly older is possibly going to be more experienced. She may be more financially secure, and generally she may be more wise in how to deal with practical issues than the man that she's planning to get married to. And the question is this: how would you feel as a man being placed in that sort of situation? And on the woman's side also, you need to marry a man who you can look up to, whom whose opinions you can trust. So would you find that in that kind of marriage it would be difficult for you to trust his opinions and trust his judgments? If you will, then it's going to be a significant issue in that marriage. And then also another thing to look at in the area of security is this: women do sometimes tend to feel insecure about the way they look, about their looks. It's that's just one of the things. Women are constantly thinking about how they look and how they're perceived by their husbands, and men are very visually wired, so they're driven by God to be visually wired. So it matters to a man how his wife looks. So the question is this: if as a man, you find that, your wife is aging much faster than you are, which is going to be the case if she's 10 to 15 years older, how will you be able to deal with that in your latter years? And as a woman, how secure will you feel in that kind of situation in your latter years? Well, these are practical things that I think are worth thinking about. And lastly, I'd like to say that if you're planning to get married in this sort of situation, you need to recognize that you're probably only 5% of the population. Very, very few people, very few men get married to women that are significantly older than them. So there will always be people who will question your motives, and you need to ask yourself, are we going to be able to deal with this, constantly? If you're going to be able to deal with it and you're both secure in the relationship and you really believe that this is what God wants you to do, then you can probably make it work, and there are no issues with it at all. Well, I hope this has helped you. If this has helped you, then please leave me a message on Facebook or Twitter, and if you've got a question you would like me to answer, then head on over to tommytalks.com/ask, and I'll answer your question next time. See you next time. Bye bye.